These players are done. Their career should be over and they have no business being on your fantasy football team. In this video, I'm going to go through all the positions and highlight just a few players, including A.J. Brown, I know injury counts, Zamir White, Kyle Pitts, and other names that have no business being on your fantasy team because they absolutely suck. These guys, their career is done. I'm telling you guys right now, based on situation, based on injury, I don't care. These guys suck. I'm ready to dive in. If you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. Hit that thumbs up, guys. Really helps the channel. And drop a name below. Who's been sucking on your team? Who deserves to be cut and banished from the fantasy football community? And for that matter, from the NFL, because they're absolutely crap in the bed. Drop a name below. I want to make this ultra interactive, okay? Again, if you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. I'm ready to dive in and rip into these guys because they absolutely suck. And make sure you guys are subscribed to the #1 fantasy football podcast right here. I looked at the algorithm. 70% of people are not actually subscribed. I'm getting millions of views, but not everybody's subscribed. So hit the subscribe button for the truth to fantasy sports. And of course, join the Counselor's Edge if you guys are into sports bets or if you want to get into it and you want to win. I was 2 for 2 in the primetime games yesterday. Make sure you guys join the Counselor's Edge, guys. You'll absolutely crush it in bets. I know a lot of people want to get into stuff outside of fantasy. If you want to get into bets, this is where it's at, guys. Join the Counselor's Edge right now. I've linked it below. Okay, guys? So let's rip into some of these names. Let's start with the quarterback position. I want to make this video short and sweet and right to the point. Okay, Will Levis should be ashamed of himself. He's becoming a meme in every single week. There's a new meme. You see the one video where he's making the face like this? He's ridiculous. He's been absolutely doing terrible. And yeah, what is he, like 31 points on the year, sitting, 31, guys, 31 amongst quarterbacks, 72.8 passer rating, terrible. Caleb Williams, 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 72 passer rating, sitting as quarterback 24. I told you, avoid this guy. Now, his receivers were coming off very early. They're not doing well. DJ Moore, Romo Tuesday, they're nowhere near the top 10, yet they're being drafted as they were almost like top 10, not Rome, but DJ was drafted very high. Keenan Allen, who hasn't been playing, right? He's been banged up. Even when he comes back, he sucks. So Caleb Williams, absolute bust. Anthony Richardson, passer rating, 60 passer rating. 3 interceptions, 6 touchdowns, 46 fantasy points in 4 games, getting banged up last week. Guys, listen. Anthony Richardson was a question mark going into the season, sitting as wide receiver 5. I told you to avoid him. Been absolutely sucking. Terrible. He's a terrible quarterback. I don't care what you say. He's brutal, right? And that's rippling down to his wide receivers. Michael Pittman, a very high draft capital guy, been busting. Everybody told you, draft wide receivers that are part of these rookie quarterbacks. Guys, you got to look for more consistent guys. Now, my guys haven't been perfect, but guys are emerging that I recommended. Brian Thomas Jr. been emerging, right? Other guys. But understand, guys, it's been a wild roller coaster of a year, but you want to minimize the risk as much as you can in drafts, and I avoided Caleb Williams and Anthony Richardson, guys like that, okay? Let's go to running backs here. Again, drop a name below. I'm missing a ton of players that are crap there. Tua Tagovailoa, how you actually should pronounce it, been sucking as well. Injuries do count, guys. If they're not on the field and not performing, they suck, okay? Quarterbacks, drop names below. Let's go to running backs here. I want to take full ownership on this. Now, the Kinship says they give you players. Last year, they told you Austin Eckler round 1, Tony Pollard round 1. They busted. This year, Christian McCaffrey is the only one telling you avoid him. Historically and statistically, guys that finish on top will bust. So Christian McCaffrey is the first one. I'll give you the second guy I'm taking ownership on. But why isn't anybody coming out and saying, hey, guys, I'm sorry we recommended Christian McCaffrey? Why isn't anybody coming out and holding themselves accountable? That's all it is, guys. So it's about seeing the red flags. And if I can minimize your risk on players that I know are going to go down, I'm going to do that. But so Christian McCaffrey's the first one. Absolutely sucks. Career's done. Apparently now he's got this tendonitis in both legs. Crazy, right? But I want to talk a little bit about Zamir White. That's the one I want to take ownership on. Sitting as like RB 54 right now, averaging 3.1 yards per carry. Been absolutely horrendous. Now, a big part of that is the offense, but there's no excuses. This is a guy that should be a top 10 running back based on situation, based on the volume we saw last year, based on the fact that there's no committee. Madison sucks. And Madison is one of the worst running backs in the league, and he's even outperforming him. That's how you know a running back is bad. So I take full ownership on Zamir White. I'm sorry for that. Now, he is my RB3 on a lot of rosters. I'm fortunate enough to be stacking Derrick Henry and Barkley in a lot of leagues. Very, very fortunate. So I get a lot of depth and I went top heavy. I got him in the 5th round in a lot of leagues. He's been busting. He's been a major, major, major disappointment. But Zamir White, absolute trash player. Sucks. Rachaad White, told you to kind of avoid him. I'm like, yeah, he sucks. And he's been sucking. 2.8 yards per carry. Bucky Irving kind of emerging there. The better out of the 2 running backs. Again, sitting as RB32 for Rachaad White. Very terrible after 4 weeks. Guys, we're heading into NFL Week 5. You got to weed out these guys. If they're not performing, you got to bench them. You got to cut the dead weight here. Singletary sucks, sitting as RB24. Josh Jacobs, a guy that I was like, this guy's boom or bust, man. He was never a good running back. He had a good year 2 years ago. Kind of blew his load. Now a new offense. You think it would be exciting. Sitting as RB28, been absolutely sucking. Josh Jacobs sucking. Now again, there's other guys that have been sucking as well. DeAndre Swift having a bit of a breakout week, but he sucks. He's just not good, right? I don't trust him moving forward. One big week doesn't mean he's gonna crush it moving forward. So drop a name below. Which running back has been sucking for you? I know a lot of people are upset with Bijan. I am as well. He's dealing with a hamstring injury apparently now, and that's why I think he was limited. That's why we saw more Algier than we should have seen last week, but they weren't really letting us know before the game. So something to monitor as well. Bijan, terrible, just not looking as dynamic as he should. And a lot of players just not performing where they should in general, okay? And this goes across the board. Wait till you get to wide receivers here. A lot of big names just not performing, okay? So those are some running backs. Drop some names of some bust running backs that have been crap in the bed for you, okay? Some wide receivers here. A.J. Brown, wide receiver 72. Injuries count, man. If you're not on the field, you suck. Pittman, wide receiver 50, a big ripple effect from Anthony Richardson there. Calvin Ridley, sitting as wide receiver 51. Again, a ripple from Will Levis, not performing, not getting the targets. T. Higgins, wide receiver 86. Told you to avoid him. Still, last year, everybody said Higgins round 2. I'm like, don't draft Higgins. And again, this year, they're like, Higgins round 4. I'm like, don't draft Higgins. Higgins been sucking. Not a surprise here, guys. Not a surprise. Tyreek Hill. Let's talk about Tyreek Hill. His career is done. We talked about the over-the-hill year. Now, some people say, well, Tua's not there. The quarterbacks suck. No excuse, guys. Over-the-hill year. Now, he's sitting as wide receiver 36. Listen to this, okay? 87 receiving yards in 3 games and 0 touchdowns for Tyreek Hill. Absolute garbage player. He's done. He's getting into politics. He's looking at social injustice in a situation where he didn't comply, where both people were at fault when he got arrested there with Miami police, right? So Tyreek losing focus, and you can see it on the field. 8.2 fantasy points last year, guys. 8.2 fantasy points, guys. I'm telling you, he sucks, okay? The week before, 7 points. The week before, I think like 6 points, okay? Trash. Garbage player, okay? 3 receptions, and 4 receptions consecutively in the last 3 games. Tyreek Hill, man, over the hill. I would wait for some sort of good game where he scores a touchdown if he even does, and then trade him off. Done. Over the hill year, okay? Christian Watson gets hurt. He's done as well. So we got to talk about Pittman, Higgins, Ridley, Tyreek. A lot of players just not performing. I don't know what to tell you guys. Curtis Samuel, everybody said he was the one on Buffalo. I know Keon Coleman's not doing much better. I hold myself accountable, but Keon Coleman was round 9. But Curtis Samuel, wide receiver 99, guys, okay? Wide receiver 99 amongst wide receivers, okay? Tight end here, let's get to it real quick. Kyle Pitts, he's just never going to do well. Biggest bust in tight end history. Laporta not doing well. Looks like Kelsey's bouncing back because there's a lot of injuries with the Chiefs wide receiver core. But again, tight end has been an absolute crapshoot. Unfortunately, I have Ferguson. He's been safe and steady. He was banged up earlier in the season, but I'm blessed to have him, okay? So, what do? Guys, if a player is not performing, you bench him, you pivot. That's why you have to have a lot of depth at every position. A backup plan for a backup plan, belt and suspenders. That's what I do, guys, okay? If a player isn't performing, make sure you guys are plugging in players that are getting the high targets, okay? And if you don't have one, trade for one. If you don't have one, find one off waiver wire, okay? But it's been a wild roller coaster year for a lot of players. There's been a lot of injuries. Now, I'm fortunate enough for 16 rounders. We don't have a lot of injuries on our team because we follow the Cuddy system. Consistency, upside, durability, depth, and youth. We have a backup plan for a backup plan. We're covered, but we're not bulletproof when it comes to fantasy football because there's a lot of uncertainty, right? Keon Coleman not performing, Zamir White not performing. There's a couple other guys, right? You got to make sure you get those volume getters moving forward week 5 and cut off that dead weight, okay? You don't want them anchoring your team and holding them down from potential breakout weeks, okay? So some of these guys, I mean, like Zamir White, he's benched and gone. You know, there's other guys that can recoup. A.J. Brown, if you have him, he comes back, he's going to bounce back, right? There's a couple guys that are going to bounce back, but it's a couple guys it's just not happening for them. Guys like Ridley, it's just not happening. Tyreek Hill, not happening. Suckletary, not happening. Zamir White, not happening. Rashad White, not happening. You got to see it now, guys. We're week 5. You got to get rid of this dead weight. Okay, guys? If you're new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it, hit the thumbs up, and make sure you guys turn on the bell for amazing content here daily. We'll talk soon, guys. Have yourself an outstanding day, and these guys suck.